Konnichiwa, watashi no namae wa Evelyn desu, and today I'll be giving you the history of Lolita fashion and a couple of the different styles within it. So to begin with the history of Lolita fashion, the exact start of the style is unknown, but it's assumed to be around the 1980s, and it started within the Harajuku district like most Japanese styles, with brands like Angelic Pretty, Milk, and Pink House. It's based off the Victorian era with large skirts and an elegant feel to it, though it's not 100% inspired by it. And in the early 2000s, it did blow up with styles like gyaru, otaku, and bijiru-kei in Japan. Gosu demo bijiru-kei demo nai desu. It's not like goth, emo, or visual kei because it's not a music-based fashion, it's strictly just the aesthetic of it. And it's still popular within alternative communities, but it's not as popular as it used to be. 私はそれを聞いていて大好きです。私の知っているの中にもこれを着ている人がたくさんいます。And I'm super excited to go to Japan because 日本にいて服を買います。気に入ったので買います。And for some extra info before we get into the styles, it's going to be like gyaru, which Lolita is a style that rebels against the strict norm for Japanese society. And you can almost think of it like the gothic community here in America, where if you're wearing it, you're bound to stand out. Lots of early Lolitas made their own clothing, and patterns really only became available much later when the style got popularized by media. And there's also a lot of stigma that follows the style, and many Lolitas consider being photographed quite disrespectful unless they are at a public Lolita meeting. And to put this out there, this style has absolutely no relation to the book Lolita, written by Vladimir Nabokov, that did come out before this style came into society, but it has no relation other than the name. So to begin with, the first style is going to be Amai Lolita, which is Sweet Lolita. It's the most childlike of all of the styles, and it'll follow the basic Lolita silhouette like bell skirts, bloomers, bows, and pastels. It's not uncommon for there to be literal sweets like candies, cakes, and berries plastered on the dresses, as you can see on the pictures to the right. And the hair is usually worn in pigtails or buns, and it's almost always curled into ringlets like in the top right picture. The makeup is kept very minimal, and if it is worn, it's very, very light. Next is going to be Kura Lolita, or Classic Lolita. It's the most inspired by historic fashion, so you'll see this as the elegant or almost Victorian style, and it's very mature compared to the other styles. It's going to have more of a straight silhouette that is longer with some lace and ruffles, and it's usually a solid color, and you'll see sometimes florals and stripes, as you can see in the top left and bottom picture. Though you can also sometimes see crowns, animals, and reproductions of artwork, which gives it a more antique or old feel to it. And it's usually worn with heels, which is unlike most styles where flats are more common. The hair is kept natural, and styles can be anything like ponytails, buns, or pigtails, as long as it's not super extreme and harsh. And the makeup is also kept very natural. Next is Hime Lolita, which focuses on a princess-like appearance. It's very similar to Classic and Sweet Lolita. The silhouette is incredibly poofy, which features several ruffled layer skirts, normally worn with no blouse, flared sleeves, and corsets, and the hemlines are just above the knees, and the overall look is hard to make look coordinated, so if you are interested, please don't beat yourself up if it doesn't look right the first time. It focuses on pastels. Again, it's very similar to Sweet Lolita, but it's much larger in comparison. Hair is usually large with lots of curls and bows, and wigs are not uncommon to be worn because it is very difficult to achieve that voluminous style with your natural hair. Makeup is a little bit more prominent, but again, it's still going to be kept natural, and they like to accessorize with lots of bows, crowns, jewelry, and gloves, and the shoes are normally heeled Mary Janes. Now, for my personal favorite style, it is Gosu Lolita, which is Gothic Lolita, and as a goth myself, I do trad makeup all the time. And I love this style. It's super, super cute. It takes aspects from Hime Lolita, and it follows the basic Lolita silhouette like bell skirts for a cupcake shape, blouses, and an overall more mature look. It usually features crosses, bats, skulls, coffins, and crimson roses, and the colors are usually going to be incredibly dark like black, crimson, navy blue, but sometimes it will feature colors like white or dark purple. The hair is usually going to be straightened and left down, and the makeup is much darker with dark lips, dark eyeshadow, but it doesn't have that pure white face that traditional goth is known for. The accessories are going to be bows, headdresses, you'll see a lot of ruffles and lace, and the shoes are usually Mary Jane's, boots, or rocking horse platforms. But what I think is interesting about this style is that it's not goth. technically, because it is not based around the music or the politics of goth, so it's strictly just gothic for the aesthetic of goth, which is a whole nother thing that I truly do suggest you guys research because it's super fun. And lastly, here are a couple credible sites that I suggest using if you do want to get into Lolita fashion. I suggest using Wonderweld, Angelic Pretty, My Lolita Dress, or Glitzy Wonderland. But warning, if you see a dress like the dress on the right, you're getting ripped off because that dress is no longer in production, but sites like to use that to lure you in and then take your money from you. Amazon de kawanai de kudasai. Please don't buy from Amazon because those are not reputable sites at all. I have a Lolita dress, but Amazon de wa kawanakata yokunai kara. And Gosu Lolita to Punku Lolita to Hime Lolita no naka de wa Gosu Lolita kai ichiban suki desu. I hope to get more styles, but I especially hope to get some in Japan. And when I do go to Japan, moto kai kau tsumori desu. And lastly, these are my works cited. So thank you guys so much for listening to this and my poor speaking ability, but I hope you guys enjoyed.